Usually when we think about cruelty, right, we picture a villain.
Oh, absolutely, like some sort of monster.
Exactly. We picture a monster with this completely broken moral compass, someone fundamentally different from you and me.
Right, because it's comforting.
It is. It's super comforting to believe that evil is something you can just, spot in a crowd.
Yeah.
But what if the monster isn't born?
Well, that's the scary part.
Right. What if the monster is just a completely ordinary person who walked into the wrong room, put on the wrong uniform, and was just told they were in charge?
Yeah, that changes everything.
It really does.
Yeah.
And in 1971, a mock prison built in the basement of the psychology building at Stanford University basically answered that question.
And it was not a pretty answer.
No, not at all. So today, for this deep dive, we are unpacking your notes on Dr. Philip Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment. Specifically, we're looking at this terrifying reality of the Lucifer Effect.
It's a really heavy topic, but so important.
It is. We want to force you, the listener, to confront the actual mechanics of human cruelty. Because we aren't just looking at the fact that ordinary people did horrific things, we are breaking down the exact psychological machinery of, how they were driven to do it.
And focusing on the how is really what makes these sources so chilling to read. I mean, we are looking at an environment that was meticulously designed to test human nature under pressure.
Right, it was a setup.
Exactly. The core premise was to investigate whether the systemic environment of a prison could just overwhelm the individual personalities of the people inside it.
So to actually test that, you'd need a really specific starting point, right?
Yes, the baseline condition of the subjects had to be absolute undeniable normalcy. Because if you start with, say, troubled individuals...
The findings wouldn't hold any weight.
Exactly. The data would be useless.
Right. If you take people with a history of violence, put them in a fake prison, and they act violently, you haven't learned anything about the system. You've just confirmed what they already do.
You're just watching them be themselves. So the researchers went to really extreme lengths to establish that perfectly normal baseline.
The notes highlight this, actually. Out of a massive pool of volunteers, they rigorously screened it down to just 24 college students.
24 guys. And they ran a massive battery of psychological evaluations on them.
Like checking for history of trauma, aggression, things like that.
Yeah, trauma, medical disabilities, even minor antisocial tendencies. They filtered out every single anomaly.
Wow.
Until they were left with 24 young men who were, by all clinical metrics, the most profoundly ordinary, psychologically healthy individuals you could possibly find.
So if you line them up, they were basically interchangeable.
Completely interchangeable in terms of their moral baseline and their stability. There were absolutely no meaningful differences in their personalities beforehand.
Which makes the very next step in the experiment feel, frankly, just unnerving, because these 24 interchangeable, super healthy kids were then divided into two groups, right? Guards and prisoners.
Yes, and the way they divided them is crucial.
It wasn't based on physical size or anything. It wasn't like, oh, this guy is tall, let's make him a guard.
No, not at all. It was a completely random coin flip.
A coin flip. Heads you're a guard, tails you're a prisoner.
That's it.
So the guy who ended up wielding a nightstick was literally a fraction of an inch of copper away from being the one locked in a cell.
It's wild to think about. And that coin flip is basically the genesis of Zimbardo's bad barrel theory.
Oh, right. Which really challenged traditional psychology at the time.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Because human intuition heavily relies on the bad apple theory.
Yeah.
We assume that if there is rot, it's inherent to the apple itself. Bad deeds are done by bad people.
But the source flips that on its head.
Exactly. It suggests that the systemic environment, so the barrel itself, is the true corrupting force. If the barrel is toxic, it possesses the power to rot perfectly fresh apples.
Okay, I want to push back on that just a little bit, or at least play devil's advocate for everyone listening.
Sure, go for it.
Because a coin flip and a basement don't just magically erase 20 years of personal values. Think about casting a casual school play with your friends. One of your buddies gets cast as the villain. You get cast as the hero. You put on the costumes, you say your lines. When the director yells cut, you're still just buddies.
Right, you don't forget who you are.
Exactly, you don't actually forget. So how does a healthy, normal kid walk into a basement, put on a khaki shirt, and suddenly just lose their entire sense of self?
Well, the difference is that in a play, the costume is just an addition to your identity. You remain yourself underneath it.
Okay.
But the Stanford prison experiment wasn't designed to just add a layer of pretend. It was methodically engineered to physically and psychologically strip away the subject's original humanity.
Stripping it away? Okay, so they didn't just walk in and get a name tag.
Not at all. The erasure of their identities was visceral and it was immediate. For the prisoners, it started with being physically stripped naked.
Wow. Literally stripped.
Yes. They were then forced into these really degrading smocks with no undergarments, and those were deliberately designed to emasculate them and force physical discomfort.
The sources also mention these tight nylon caps they had to wear.
Oh yes, the stocking caps.
They were forced to cover their hair completely. And you know, when you think about it, hair is one of the most prominent ways we express our individuality.
Especially for college kids in the early 1970s.
Exactly. Long hair was huge. Covering it instantly homogenizes them.
It creates this visual monolith. Everyone looks the same. And the erasure went way deeper than just appearance, too.
As of the names, right?
Right. They were entirely stripped of their names. And a name is, well, it's the primary anchor to your history, your family, your sense of personal significance.
So what did they use instead?
The researchers replaced their names with ID numbers sewn right onto their smocks.
Right.
From that exact moment on, they were referred to strictly by those numbers.
Never their real names.
Never. And when you replace a human name with a digit, you signal to the environment and to the person's own brain, honestly, that they are no longer a human being.
They're just an inventory item.
Precisely. Just an item in a system.
Man. So the physical stripping of the prisoners is brutal, but the transformation of the guards is arguably more insidious, I think.
Oh, it is. It really is.
Because their humanity wasn't taken away through degradation. It was shielded by authority.
Shielded is the perfect word. They were given identical military-style uniforms. They were handed wooden nightsticks.
But the defining feature in the nose, the thing that actually acts as the psychological catalyst for the cruelty, was a pair of silver reflective sunglasses.
The mirrored glasses, yes.
Mm-hmm.
They are easily the most critical piece of dark psychology in the entire uniform.
Why is that? What do the glasses actually do?
Well, from a biological standpoint, the eyes are our primary conduit for emotional connection and empathy.
Right, the whole eyes are the window to the soul thing.
Exactly. When you look into another person's eyes, you register their fear, their pain, their humanity, and doing that triggers a physiological empathy response in your own brain.
So by forcing the guards to wear mirrored glasses, the system is deliberately short-circuiting that biological trigger.
Yes. The prisoners are staring at a wall of mirrored glass instead of a human face.
That is terrifying.
And perhaps even more dangerously, the guards are shielded from being seen themselves. They don't have to worry about a prisoner witnessing their hesitation or their guilt, or really any of their humanity.
So they can hide.
They can hide completely. The sunglasses induce a profound state of de-individuation.
Let's really map out de-individuation for the listeners, because I feel like that is the actual engine driving the Lucifer effect here.
It really is the core mechanism.
It's essentially the mind turning off its internal referee, right? Like, if my face is hidden and I'm part of a uniform group, I just stop evaluating my actions based on my personal moral code.
Yes, you're no longer John the student. You are simply an avatar of the system.
That is an incredibly precise way to put it. You're an avatar.
De-individuation severs personal accountability. You stop seeing yourself as an individual making choices, and you just become an instrument of the role.
And the mirrored glass acts as that psychological shield.
Exactly. Behind it, the college student vanishes entirely, and only the raw concept of the authority figure remains.
But, okay, I still struggle with the idea that a pair of Ray-Bans and a khaki shirt can completely overwrite 20 years of good upbringing.
It sounds impossible, I know.
Right. Even in a state of de-individuation, humans possess free will. So does this environment actually short-circuit the moral compass, or does the anonymity just provide a convenient excuse?
That's the big debate.
Like, does it just give these guys permission to unleash dark, sadistic urges they already had buried deep down?
It is the ultimate question of the experiment, for sure. We have to return to that baseline we established at the beginning.
The psychological screening.
Right. These were the good apples.